2006 Hyundai Tucson, how to do rear pads and rotors. We're going to start off by removing the caliper bolts, one here and the other one is there. So we're going to proceed with that. Use a 14 mil wrench. Remove that. Now get a screwdriver and pry the caliper out. Once the caliper is out, you can set it aside. Now again, using a 14 mil wrench, remove the caliper bracket bolts, one here and one there. Once the bolts are removed for the caliper bracket, just put the screwdriver in here between the rotor and the caliper bracket and pry out. Just like so. To remove the rotor, grab a hammer and just hammer on the face of the rotor without damaging the studs that are coming out. So, a couple times, the rotor will pop out. Just grab the rotor and wiggle it out. Now we have to clean the mating surface between the hub and the new rotor. So use a wire brush and go in and just clean like so. Make sure you get all the areas cleaned up. Once you have done the cleaning with the wire brush, get a good parts cleaner or brake cleaner, spray the hub, and wipe it dry with a clean cloth. Once it's clean and you don't see any major rust or any obvious sections that are dirty and sticking out and everything is nice and smooth, now you can apply any type of anti-seize. I like to use copper anti-seize on this application. Once that's all applied evenly, you can now install your new rotor. Typically this vehicle has a set screw, which is a Phillips. However, in this particular case, whoever has done the brakes on the time before did not reinstall it, so we don't have a set screw at this time. However, your car may have the set screw and you may have to remove it. Now we have to remove the pads from the caliper adapter. Use a hammer, just tap them out, and that's out. Next we need to remove the brake pad shims that sit in the caliper adapter. Just get a screwdriver, go under, and it'll pop out. Same thing on the other side, and that's out. Next, we need to clean the surface between the shim and the adapter. You can use a file, you can use a wire brush. In this case, we're going to use the die grinder, and we're just going to do that quick. Once the surfaces are clean under the shims, use some anti-seize and apply. Not too much, just a little bit evenly spread out. And then install your new shim. Just presses into place, like so. Next, once you have the shim installed, we need to lubricate that as well with some anti-seize. Just apply a thin layer of that, so the pad does not seize in place. And that's it. Next, we need to clean the caliper guide pins. Simply remove and wipe it. Once it's nice and clean, we just need to apply a little bit of compound lubricant, any silicone based type of lubricant. Just a little bit. And just spread it out evenly. Once that's all spread out nice and evenly, you can reinstall the caliper guide pin. And you have to do the same for both. Now we need to reinstall the caliper bracket. Simply slide over the rotor, line up the holes, get your bolts again, and just start them by hand at first. Once they're nice and snug, you can use your wrench and torque them up. Next, we're going to install our new brake pad. Make note that these have a wear sensor, wear indicator, and this has to be facing up on the rear. So slide like that. That's it.
Go.
Now install the front pad, just like so. You want to make sure that these pads are not sitting too tight and you don't use too much force to get them to sit in place. You should be able to just tighten them up with your fingers.
Go.
Next, we're just going to clean the piston on the caliper. We're going to use the grinder again. You can use a piece of sandpaper or a file as well, but we're just going to do this quickly. You just want to knock down any loose rust or big pieces of rust. Make sure it's smooth. That should be good there. Next, to squeeze in the caliper, there's multiple ways of doing this. we use a big pair of channel locks. Just go on the back of the caliper and on the top of the piston and squeeze it until it bottoms out. Now the piston is fully in. Once the piston is fully in, make sure the boot is seated properly and it's not gonna get caught on the brake pad. Next, we need to reinstall the caliper. Slide it over the pads and over the caliper guides. Once it's in place, line up the bolt holes. Get your bolts and start them. Once you have them bottomed out, use your wrench and just snug them up. Now that's all done. Once the brakes are done, you need to pump the brake pedal a few times to reapply the piston. Once the brakes are pumped up, you want to recheck your brake fluid. This is your reservoir here under the hood. There is the maximum sign here and the minimum sign is down here. You want to be at the max after replacing your pads and rotors, and this vehicle takes .3 brake fluid.